We are absolutely drowning in information these days, right? It's coming at us from every direction, all the time. News, social media, friends, it's just a lot. And it can be seriously overwhelming. So the big question is, how do you even begin to navigate all of it?
Yeah, how do you cut through all that noise to figure out what's real and what's not? What should you actually believe? Well, that's the core question. And the answer isn't a secret, it's a skill. And in this explainer, we're going to build a mental toolkit to help you do just that. Let's get right into it.
All right, first up, the main tool in our new kit, critical thinking. And don't worry, this is not some boring, stuffy academic term. Honestly, think of it as a superpower. It's what helps you shift from just passively soaking up information to actively, engaging with it.
At its heart, it's a pretty straightforward process. You take an idea, you really look at it, you weigh it against what you already know to be true, and then you decide if it actually has any merit. The goal isn't to win an argument or prove you're right, it's to find the most objective, clear-eyed position you can.
So, what does a critical thinker actually do day to day? Well, it really boils down to these three things. You don't just accept the first thing you hear. You actively hunt down different sides of the story. And then you put both the claims and the evidence under a microscope to see if they really hold up to scrutiny.
I find this slide super helpful because it frames this whole thing as a journey. See, most of us start at the bottom, just knowing stuff, remembering facts. But critical thinking is all about climbing this triangle, moving past just knowing to understanding, applying, analyzing, and then at the very top, evaluating its true worth. That's where the real power is.
Okay, so to start climbing that triangle, we've got to understand the anatomy of what we're looking at. Pretty much every argument you'll ever encounter, good or bad, is built from the same three basic parts. Let's break them down. First up, every argument has a claim. Super simple. This is the main point. It's the conclusion someone wants you to accept. If you're ever trying to find it, just ask yourself, okay, what is this person actually trying to convince me of? That's the claim.
Next, you've got the evidence. If the claim is the what, the evidence is the why. Why should I believe you? This is the foundation. It's the data, the stats, the quotes that are supposed to hold the whole argument up. And remember, without solid evidence, a claim is just an opinion.
And that brings us to the most important and often the most invisible part, the warrant. The warrant is the logical connection. It's the bridge between the evidence and the claim. And this is so crucial because this little bridge is where most weak arguments completely fall apart.
So, now we have our tools. We know how to spot a claim, evidence, and a warrant. But how do we actually use them? Well, let's walk through a simple, repeatable process you can apply to literally anything you read or hear.
It's a basic three-step process. First, just identify the thrust of the argument. What's the main point here? Second, you analyze it. Is the evidence any good? Is the perspective balanced or totally one-sided? And finally, you compare and apply it. How does this idea fit with other things you know? And more importantly, does it actually hold up in the real world?
Okay, theory is great and all, but let's take this new toolkit of ours for a test drive. We're going to use it to dissect a really common type of flawed argument and see if we can pinpoint exactly where it breaks down.
We've all heard arguments that kind of make sense on the surface, but have a fatal flaw hiding inside. So let's look at a classic one I think we can all relate to. A student thinking, hey, if I just go to my tutorials, I won't have to work so hard to pass. Sounds plausible, right? Let's put that logic to the test.
Okay, check this out. The claim is, if I go to the tutorial, I won't have to work as hard. The evidence is a university stat. Students who attend tutorials are more likely to pass. So far, so good. But now, look at the warrant, that logical bridge. The argument assumes that attendance causes success. But hang on, the evidence only shows a correlation, not causation. And bam, that's the weak link. The bridge is shaky.
So we found the weak spot, right? That logical bridge connecting the evidence to the claim is flawed. Knowing that, what questions should we be asking to get to a much better, more accurate explanation? This is the crucial next step. Instead of just accepting that flawed logic, we start asking better questions. Like, what else leads to success? Maybe the students who attend are just more organized to begin with. Maybe they have more time to study. The tutorial itself might not be the magic bullet. It's probably just one small piece of a much bigger puzzle. And that's really the whole point of this. Using this toolkit isn't about winning debates or just trying to sound smart. It's about developing the confidence to think for yourself and build a clearer, more accurate understanding of the world around you. And I absolutely love this quote because it captures the reward perfectly. This isn't supposed to be a chore. It's a skill that actually brings the real pleasure of clarity and independence. It's about owning your own understanding of things.
So, I'll leave you with a final question. A challenge, really. Now that you have this toolkit, what's one thing you've heard recently, an argument, a headline, something everyone just seems to believe, that you can put to the test? What's one idea you're going to rethink today?